Uh, so Betsy works with us, Katie, and a few of us in the rabies team here for quite a while now. And this time she has also brought along Noel, who is also a considerable One Health expert himself. So Noel, our speaker today, Noel Miranda, is a global health security and One Health advisor. And he brings a considerable topic and policy expertise, specifically on zoonosis and One Health efforts that he's been working on since 1985. I'll just list a few of the areas that he's worked in. He has worked in or advised the Ministry of Health in the Philippines, as well as regionally with the World Health Organization, and also ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, Asian Development Bank, and the Food and Agriculture Organization. So in terms of the topic areas he's addressed, besides rabies, there's also the resistant Ebola virus in monkeys and pigs, and highly pathogenic avian influenza. So Noel was among the WHO experts who investigated the risk of zoonotic spillover in the marketing of wild and live animals. He's assisted FAO as his COVID-19 regional coordinator during the pandemic itself. Noel has written extensively on a range of One Health related topics, ranging from planetary health complexities, arguing for One Health collaboration, to mainstreaming zoonotic spillover prevention at source in national action planning for health security, in line with the core focus of One Health. So you can tell that his work has a very strong policy application based on his considerable practical experience. So today, Noel will share with us some of his thoughts on the topic of Green One Health. I have to say it's the first time I've come across this concept. So Green One Health for sustainable and secure ecosphere, multi-partite massive collaboration against pandemic threats, the Triple Planetary Crisis, and unsustainable development. Noel, please.
Thank you. Okay, bye. Well, first of all, I'd like to say that thank you for allowing me to lecture to you. It's definitely an honor for me to be here in your first time in University of Glasgow. And my first time, I get to lecture. Wow, good. And you can consider yourself as lucky or unlucky, because this is the first time I'm going to really talk about Green One Health. I mean, green, using the word green. I did make a similar presentation to Prezode. I don't know if you're familiar with Prezode. I was able to provide a keynote presentation during their annual meeting. And I did present sort of the concept, but I thought that it's good to call it green versus red. And I'll explain that later. And so allow me to make this presentation. I'd like to say that thank you for the collaboration. First of all, maybe I would say, extend my love to you. I love you as for collaborating with me, allowing me to collaborate with you, because I think that's the essence of One Health. And so let me start. So the title really is pointing towards sustainable and secure ecosphere. So why am I here? Why are we here? It's because we face an existential problem. And that's pretty much because of our, what we call anthropogenic actions or activities that have actually destroyed the planet that we live in. And so it has cost us the insecurity that we face because of our overconsumption, basically. And I think it's all about overconsumption. We saw a poster in, where was this, Betsy? In the art that talks about regenerative regenerative resources. I thought that was interesting. regenerative resources. In other words, we try to prevent overconsumption, therefore, more sustainable way of consuming rather than over-consuming. So, is it moving? Okay. It's not moving. Like this first.
Yep.
It's on. Okay.
Yep.
So as you know, just about a few days ago, on February 10, this particular letter came out of Lancet. And it reads, draft of the WHO pandemic agreement plays down primary prevention. And when I read it, I thought it was exactly what we needed to talk about. So it makes my life easier to lecture to you because there's actually a paper, a correspondence that was written particularly to promote primary prevention. And I think when I say Green One Health, it's actually talking about this. And but I'll elaborate on that. But I'm happy that this paper was written because one, it talks about pandemic prevention or similar concepts such as deep prevention, upstream prevention. Where the term prevention is used, it often refers to post-spill, right? In other words, not pre-spill, but post-spill, which is what we call secondary pandemic prevention. That's the usual way that we apply One Health. I think we need to get out of that paradigm, and we should move towards the paradigm of trying to apply One Health or harness One Health actions or collaborations towards both primary and secondary prevention. Of course, secondary prevention means responding to outbreaks. That's where we're most used to. And when you talk about pathogen spillover, it's actually encompassing, including biodiversity loss, climate change, and ecosystem degradation. I think those are the primary points that we would like to focus on. And who benefits from that? We know that if we actually look into these aspects of prevention, that we are actually addressing inequity, right? Because when the indigenous people or local communities are concerned, they're the ones who suffer most from disasters that are caused by climate change, for example. Flooding, who suffers from flooding? It would be the indigenous people or local communities, the remote areas. Well, so that's really addressing equity as well. So this paper, please do read it. I've been writing about this particular topic, and 2 years ago, with Betsy, we published the first article in Security Nexus entitled Mainstreaming Zoonotic Spillover Prevention at Source in the National Action Plan for Health Security, in line with the core focus of One Health. What's the National Action Plan for Health Security? It's called NAPS. It's actually every country that is a member of IHR needs to develop their National Action Plan for Health Security. But it's linked, or it hinges on IHR. And IHR is pretty much downstream One Health, or one downstream prevention or downstream mitigation or response. And that's the limitation. That's why this article actually focuses on trying to encourage countries to include zoonotic spillover prevention in their National Action Plan for Health Security. And this one recently, which I just submitted to Health Security, is actually titled Interconnected Planetary Health Complexities, a case for One Health massive collaboration for the sustainability and security of the ecosphere. Very long title, but it's really talking about the security and sustainability of this ecosphere. And the only way for us to ensure that is for us to collaborate to form massive collaborations. Now, I don't have the answer to, how we're going to form massive collaboration, but I think we need to talk about it. And that's why this opportunity to talk about forming this massive collaboration with you is really something that is close to my heart, and I get emotional talking about it. Of course, why not? Because it's about our existence as humanity. Of course, with the other, species in the animal kingdom that we share this planet with, and that's why you do have to get emotional, right? One Health and all of these things that we do has to be personal. It's not about, doing our jobs, getting paid to do One Health. It's about being personal about it and committing your life personally to actually solve these problems together with the rest, who probably feel the same way, who share the same, who think the same way, have the same mindset. So I hope that's, a community of practice that we're trying to build together. But so Green One Health is because everything is interconnected. Green One Health represents a One Health massive collaboration for the sustainability and security of the ecosphere. So, maybe you will ask me, why am I going to, use the word Green One Health? I thought it's just appropriate to differentiate how we understand One Health when it comes to downstream actions versus upstream. And so I guess green versus red kind of makes sense. And everything that relates to sustainability is actually colored green, right? I mean, we use green quite a lot. But I think the definition is important. It aims to systematically harness the collective expertise and effort of diverse entities to solve intricate upstream planetary health issues and achieve ambitious objectives that otherwise would not be attained if only the health sector is mobilized, or a limited number of sectors. So Green One Health massive collaboration must call everyone to action, including the entire health workforce, engineers, agronomists, social workers, economists, scientists from different fields, educators, policymakers, law enforcers, moralists, artists, and indigenous and local communities. And perhaps you can add more. And I think we should add more. We should include everyone. It has to be inclusive. So the Triple Planetary Crisis, basically, just to shorten it, it talks about the climate change issues, talks about pollution and biodiversity loss or ecosystem degradation. And there is a need for strengthened environmental governance at all levels. And so I think this is a very important kind of advocacy of the planetary health community, which is a bit detached from the One Health community, but I think you're familiar with the planetary health. And you can understand that they're the ones who are actually pushing this agenda of addressing the triple planetary health crisis. So we know the WHO warned that climate change is the biggest health threat facing humanity. We know that. But what are the actions that we are doing? What are these actions that we need to do? WHO has not prescribed that. So the triple planetary crisis definitely drives zoonotic spillover prevention or zoonotic spillover events. Or maybe you're familiar with, you're relating to the disease X when we talk about spillover events. We typically call it disease X, right? It could be SARS-3 or Ebola or Reston virus or Henipa virus. But what we understand would be that there are causes of spillover that are actually way upstream that somehow we are missing to actually address through One Health approach. And such as in this example, you have urbanization, land use, deforestation, of course, poverty and food insecurity will drive all of these upstream causes or impacts that actually would increase the risk of spillover events. Now, the Summit of the Future in September 2024, which is happening this year. Actually, in 2021, the UN Secretary General responded to the call to address current and future challenges with our common agenda. And this is the Secretary General, a wake-up call to speed up implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, as well as recommendations to address strategic gaps in global governance and arrangements. So it called for the Summit of the Future, which is happening this year. That was way back in 3 years ago. The Summit of the Future is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to enhance cooperation on the critical challenges and address gaps in global governance. Reaffirm the existing commitments, including to the Sustainable Development Goals and the United Nations Charter, and move towards invigorated multisectoral system. Now, building on the Sustainable Development Summit in 2023, the member states will consider ways to lay foundations for effective global cooperation. So I'm really looking forward to this, and I think we should, because it is kind of providing the hope for us to actually continue, for us to actually see high-level discussion take place about issues that we're discussing today. So this is a spectrum of the causes and impacts associated with the ecospheric interconnected health challenges that we face. And we can see here the social values, overconsumption, actually driving the Triple Planetary Crisis and resulting in ecosystem degradation or pollution and food insecurity because of biodiversity loss and so on. Zoonotic spillover will be somewhere here. And then, of course, the downstream process would be resulting into pandemics or outbreaks. And of course, there are also non-infectious issues. Not everything would be infectious, but the outcomes actually are both infectious and non-infectious, okay, non-communicable. So Green One Health risk reduction is really joint upstream prevention of zoonotic spillover is not yet well structured, right? I mean, what do you think? What do you think? I mean, of this? Do we have a clear roadmap when it comes to preventing spillover? Obviously not. And the quadripartite One Health Joint Plan of Action that is from 2022 to 2026 states that ecosystem degradation, land use, and habitat change, environmental climate factors, as well as harvesting, farming, and trade of animals. So they were actually addressing this in the Joint Plan of Action. A lot of wordings that discusses about biodiversity and ecosystem degradation. So One Health surveillance, early warning, and response mechanisms in the ecosystems. So there are wordings. There are wordings in the Joint Plan of Action by the quadripartite. At the same time, the World Bank stated, prevention is a foundation for global health security and improved development outcomes at much lower societal and economic costs It focuses us on disease X. It focuses us on managing land use, expansion of agriculture, wildlife and livestock trade, production and consumption, pollution control, especially in the critical animal health, animal, human, and environmental interface. It also focuses us on improving these, the ecosystem and biodiversity and energy security. So there is this intention by the World Bank, by the quadripartite. These are all written in documents. And also the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework. I think you're familiar with this. Really focuses on upstream One Health that aligns with the planetary health agenda. Again, triple planetary crisis is mentioned in these documents. And I think what we need to see is maybe ask ourselves is, so now what's next? What happens, right? How is One Health, because we're talking about One Health, how is One Health going to be effective when it comes to these necessary actions that are actually addressing upstream drivers of issues downstream, right? The issues that we need to face downstream. So this is how I would propose One Health massive collaboration to look like. And I need you to criticize this, because for every circle, we need to see ourselves, not just vets or medical professionals, but we need to see the community as being truly multidisciplinary. And that we need to really see who would need to be represented in this matrix or diagram of green One Health. And I think it's important, of course, health. I believe, the word One Health, health is never going to be changed. It's always going to be relevant. Everything's about health. But not everything is seen from the lens of the health sector, right? That's already, that's accepted, and that's already something that we consider as a fact, that it's not all about the health sector seeing these things, or it's not just about the health sector responding to health issues. Yes, it's about health, but the response, the actions need to come from those beyond health, beyond the health sector. And that's why this is, how I would represent it. We need, at the middle, the sustainable development, and the enablers and barriers would need to be considered. Here is a diagram it's actually an editorial that I drew. I scribbled, and I was doing this when I was thinking, and I said, how do we see One Health carrying this cart, where we're actually interested in the solutions to planetary health and sustainable development challenges? How can One Health carry this wagon or cart with all these issues that it's not just the concern of the health sector? It's not just about the quadripartite, right? It's not just about saying, okay, the quadripartite, although I do agree, I believe the quadripartite is important, WHO, FAO, OIE, UNEP. But then I asked the question, what about UNDP? That's as far as the UN organization is concerned, and not everything has to be UN, right? Not everything has to be just UN. But within our community of various disciplines, how can we drive green One Health so that we can actually address all of these problems that the prevention of zoonotic spillover hinges on. Right, so this cart is actually the prevention of zoonotic spillover, among other things that we can prevent by actually driving this cart together through One Health up the hill so that we can attain planetary health and sustainable development goals. That is the biggest question that we need to address. And I do challenge you in this university, and I think you're one of the prime universities, one of maybe among the increasing number of universities offering One Health courses, that maybe this is a niche for university-led championing of this particular concept or movement to bring others, to focus others that are outside the academic sector, to actually focus them on the issues that are so relevant to everyone, to all of us. So now let me just take you to this simple diagram where we talk about upstream. And of course, there's when we have discussed about green One Health, I did mention about red One Health. And so let's talk about that. Red One Health, when you look at IHR 2005, and you put One Health there, it's basically downstream prevention, detection, and response. IHR has nothing to do with upstream. And that's, I think, the limitation. And I think we're kind of repeating the same mistake because the pandemic accord apparently is not saying so much, talking about primary prevention as much as we would like the pandemic accord to actually cover this particular concern. But this is red One Health, right? This is red One Health versus green One Health. So we are familiar with One Health as being responding to an outbreak, calling the veterinarian. The veterinarian would report it to his supervisor. We do the investigation in the field, do laboratory examinations, and then we report the findings or the detection of the hazard to the central authority. This is what we're used to. This is One Health. It's still relevant. I'm not saying it's not important. Red One Health is as important as green One Health, but we need to address those two parts of the spectrum, the left and the right? So yeah, so One Health response downstream would be encompassing pretty much investigation, epidemiologic analysis of the burden, of the severity of the risk factors, obtain laboratory confirmation, case management, and infection prevention. All of these things are important. But it's not enough. One Health does not end with being able to respond downstream. And that's why I think the purpose of this presentation is actually to also drive others to look at how we can collaborate towards green One Health actions. So by definition, this is important because this is how One Health is defined. And you can see that it encompasses both red and green. So One Health by definition by the One Health high-level expert panel, while it has primarily focused on collective efforts of the animal, human, plant, and environmental health sectors to address pandemic and health security risk at the animal, human, environmental ecosystem interface, One Health is globally hailed as an effective and systematic collaborative framework intended to foster well-being and tackle threats to health and ecosystems while addressing the collective need for healthy food, water, energy, and air, taking action on climate change, and contributing to sustainable development. That green part is taken from the definition of the One Health high-level expert panel of the quadripartite. So Green One Health collaborations are actually possible, and they need to happen now. They need to happen now. These collaborations need to happen now. Now, the conferences of parties and the Summit of the Future of 2024 are not going to recognize the relevance of One Health if the current champions of One Health, which is us, are not going to actively and earnestly harness the greater force that can tackle the drivers of the triple planetary crisis, to which reducing the risk of zoonotic spillovers and other hazards ultimately hinges on. Whether that's directly or indirectly. That's the cart that I actually drew. And that's not going to happen. These collaborations are not going to happen if we're not going to make it happen. We need to act. We need to act now. So green planetary health should be able to effect solutions at various ecospheric interfaces, right? If you really look at the ecosphere, it's actually different sets of interfaces, right? It's all about life, the planet, and life on the planet. So the power of One Health is so, to me, that's why I decided to call it One Health, because why think of another term, right? We know that One Health is powerful. It's already globally recognized. We have to use that power. Now, the power of One Health, one, as a concept, it's well defined. As an approach, yes, it's really accepted. It mobilizes collaboration. But there's also one thing that I'd like to add, which is the power of One Health as a virtue, which I don't think many talk about. Not many talk about One Health as a virtue. And what is that about? It is the way of life that draws and binds us together, multi-sector or multi-stakeholders together, for the protection of the ecosphere. So it's a way of life that actually draws and binds us together. I think that's missing. One Health would actually be very powerful if we are able to harness this kind of ethical and positive behavior that would be driving all of these important collaborations that need to happen at all levels and at all parts of the spectrum. And I think we need to be driving people to actually desire to collaborate. And that is, I think, the missing element in our approach to One Health. How do we drive collaboration? How do we make collaboration happen? So I'll end, I think this is my last slide. I'm kind of philosophical in a way, because I think the noble virtues binding us for the protection of the ecosphere is actually the missing link. We've not been virtuous enough to want collaboration to happen. So working together sustainably obviously need love, peace, honesty, trust, compassion, kindness. And I leave this, I guess, poem or a verse, the way to togetherness. I will support because I trust you. I will listen because I don't know. I will share because you share too. I will speak because you are honest. I will love because you truly love. Yes, we shall prosper peacefully together forever. So thank you very much for